Hi, everybody. It's Noura Bishay again with the ADU show and episode 16. And today we have Jeff Mudd with us. Welcome, Jeff Mudd.
Well, good morning. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Jeff Mudd is retired and he ran two home improvement companies and best rated repairs, wild pest control. Uh, Jeff is a San Diego native and he has two boys and more than 30 decades of 3 decades of experience in home improvement industry, best rated. Oh my God, how much should I say of all of your accomplishments? Um, yeah, and he's also an entrepreneur. At age 40, he opened his own firm. He's just like a book of knowledge that we want to explore. Welcome, Jeff. Do you want to tell us more about yourself?
Well, I guess one of the things that was really life-changing for me, I was working for a termite company, and 9/11 hit, and I turned 40 a few days later. And that's really the catalyst that I think a lot of people went through in that time in history was what am I doing with my life? What am I, doing my best? What's important to me? So basically, a few months later, I gave notice and started my own home improvement company.
Mm-hmm.
Started off very small and challenging, and so just worked my tail off, and we just kept growing and growing over the next couple decades. And I feel lucky enough to build something up that is still going right now. I have a great um, predecessor that's taken over and is running everything at Best Rate Repair,
Mm-hmm.
and great culture going over there. Made some great strides and accomplishments, and I'm often doing some other adventures right now. I'm still the licensee on the termite and pest control business, Wild Pest. So I stay involved in that industry a little bit.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. Because our audience are mainly homeowners, can you tell us like the best practice that you would advise a homeowner when they are choosing the contractor, like how to choose a contractor?
Well, I'm going to go back to what the Contractor State License Board always recommends. Check to make sure they're licensed, check to make sure they're bonded, check to make sure that they have insurance, and then do some other basic research. How are their reviews online? How did you hear about them? So those are just common sense things that I still would agree with and reinforce that it's a good starting point to understand. When it comes time to picking a um, contractor to either help with your room addition, ADU, whatever contracting project you have coming up, um, there's a lot more things that will help you build a relationship and avoid problems in the future. And I think that's one of the things you want to talk about.
Yes, tell us more.
Tell you more. Um, so one of the things I think is start off, get 3 bids. I mean, it takes a lot of work to get 3 bids. It takes time to sit down and explain your vision, your wants, your needs, your budget to a contractor. And you have to open up with those things. Otherwise, the contractor can't really build a picture of what is appropriate for you and your project. So that takes time. And don't try to do it all in the same, 3 days. You need time to allow the contractor to respond to you, to put together a proposal for you, to crunch some numbers. There's lots of different components that come into the responsibility of a good contractor to be able to work with a homeowner. So
Mm-hmm.
while you're doing that process, you should be analyzing communication. Did the contractor get back to you when he said? Did he show up to the the appointment when he said, or she said. Um, if they're running a few minutes late, do they even make a courtesy call? Hey, I'm stuck in traffic. I'm going to be 10 minutes late. That's one of the things I always try to enforce with um, my sales staff when they're going to an appointment to estimate a job. If you're going to be late, 5 or 10 minutes, there's things that are out of your control. Communicate with the homeowner. Don't just show up 10 or 15 minutes late without calling and letting them know. It makes an impression that you don't care about them. So if you take the time to do some simple things like that, it makes a good impression and it shows your um, um, your commitment to doing a good job for the client.
Yes, I always show up 15 minutes earlier than my appointment and wait in the car till I get my appointment time. Yes, this is a very important point. Like showing us up on time and showing it just tells you that he's gonna honor his word.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people would throw and like, oh, this project can be done in like 3 months, and it doesn't get done in 3 months, and delays happen, and it will happen eventually in any construction project. But can you tell us more about like delays and how do you deal with
that's really good point, and it's odd, especially with the recent supply chain issues that we've had. You pick out a particular tile, and the tile can't get here in a timely manner. So, how is that handled before that's an issue? So, a good contractor is going to be able to tell you, okay, the first week is demo, the second week is we're going to redo the framing and the plumbing in certain areas, or whatever the case may be. They should be able to lay out a basic time schedule for you, which is, there should have software in this day and age that helps them do that. That software has components in it that you can see or be printed out. But part of the conversation before you even sign on a contract is, if there's a delay, how do we handle it? I have a very important event coming up on X date. If we're not done in time, this changes my perspective on doing this project. So if I can't do it, if we can't complete it on time, you have a wedding, somebody's moving into the ADU, whatever the case may be, we all have different reasons for the project we're doing. If the project can't be done on time, what are the ramifications? How do we solve it? What's the communication process? All those things should be able to be laid out ahead of time during the estimating process. Any good contractor that's done any amount of business in those areas has had those problems before. How do they handle it? What are the systems that they have that allow them to communicate with the customer, with their vendors, the subcontractors, on how all the things get fixed? Or if it can't be fixed, how do we handle that in the communication process with the homeowner?
Yes, and also like first and at most, do not panic when delays happen. It will happen.
100%. But my point is that it shouldn't be a surprise when the contractor says, can't get the blank subcontractor out here for an extra 3 weeks. They're too busy. That should be handled ahead of time. Maybe not so much on the schedule that the subcontractor is going to show up on X date, but it's how it's communicated. What's that mean to the job? Is there a financial penalty for being late? There is a lot of that goes on in government work, and a lot of that goes on in huge commercial projects. There's fines and fees and different financial ramifications if a project isn't done on time. On the really big commercial stuff, there's a department that handles all that type of financial stuff and laying it out in the huge projects ahead of time. So breaking it down to whether it's a 50,000 or a $500,000, ADU or more project, that for a contractor that's done it before, he should know, or she should know, that these are things that could happen and this is how we handle them.
Perfect.
So,
what are like red marks that the contractor will say or do that you should question it?
one of the things that, it's a really good question too. One of the things that really, I guess, irritated me was, what's it called? So say tile, we're going to give you an allowance for $1.50 on tile. And you say, okay, I want blank tile in the bathroom. Is that going to work? And oh yeah, contract, no problem. We can make that work. And then you're in the middle of the project. They're trying to buy the tile, and now it's $4.50, not $1.50. A little more probably realistic price, but you were, as a homeowner, led to believe you're going to be paying a certain amount, and now it's 3 times as much because an allowance was given. So that tells me, one, the contractor either hasn't done a lot of tile work or doesn't know the current pricing, doesn't know the labor pricing, there's a lot of different factors that can come into why they were uninformed, I guess is the polite way of saying, on the current price of tile, as an example. And you can apply that to fixtures, tile, flooring, countertops, cabinets.
But like how would you apply it before you actually sign with a contractor? Like, what would he say? Like, I guess some of my clients, when they called me, they said a contractor knows someone in the city. Is that a good idea? That you hire a contractor just because he knows someone in the city?
Like at the building permits department? I think that's a good thing, that the contractor has done enough business and has relationships with, people at the counter to get your permits done in a timely fashion. That they've had enough work done where the inspectors that come out, there's, whatever city you're in, there's only a limited number of inspectors. So if you've done enough work and you've done good quality work and the inspectors come out and they can see every time they've been there that you've done the work, the way the code and the blueprints have called for it, the plans have called for it, I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
Bragging about it and saying, I just know somebody. No, quantify it. I've gotten 20 projects in the last 10 years completed in the city of X. Most of them have been by, the Bill, the inspector. We've got a great relationship. He knows exactly the kind of quality work that I do. And I don't try to hide stuff from him. I'm very open, and if we have a disagreement, because we've had a great relationship over the years, and if there's a disagreement on the way the plans or the code is coming together, which does happen, because of our good relationship, we can work those out in a very timely fashion so the project moves on.
Okay. What if a contractor gives you an estimate before you have a design done?
What is he estimating?
That's the thing, but just the square feet is.
Yes, I mean, the design is really the basics for getting the plans done. The plans are going to detail out, the cost of the build. So yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say this is a $80,000 to $120,000 project, depending on the design work, cost of building permits, and my research on supplies and materials and subcontractors. So those are all factors that you can't do without all the written specs in front of you.
Yeah. What else are red flags that design contractors come and say it. They will throw a low number for an estimate, um, and just the homeowner will believe that this is the estimate that will be done after 3 years.
Well, obviously, if you've got a project and you're taking 3 years to pull the trigger, things are going to change. So that's where I come back to. You know, it takes a lot of work on the homeowner side, but get 3 estimates. You're going to have a variety of prices. You're going to have different communication styles. You know, you're going to be interacting with a contractor very intensely for the course of the project. You also want to feel very comfortable that that contractor has a lot of integrity, that when the project's done, and if there's any issues, he's there to help rectify them. So those are other questions. What's the warranty? And the warranty can not be just you've got a blank 3-year warranty or 5-year warranty or whatever it is. There's a lot more involved into it. There's warranties from the manufacturers, there's warranties from the subcontractors, there's warranties, you know, that you have to give. What's the follow-up process? You know, what's the communication process when there is an issue? You know, is it a 2 month before you have a chance to come out and look at it, or is it a 2 or 3 day thing? You know, there's a lot of contractors that I've known over the years that they look at the warranty issues as an opportunity to continue to prove and build on the relationship that they have. They don't intentionally make problems, but when they do come up, it's how they react to them that shows the difference in integrity and gets continued support from the client that they've had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then if we think about a contractor relationship with like the homeowner, it's like a marriage situation because like they are married to each other for a year or how long the project will take them. So yeah, it's not the guy that you will drink beer with. It's a guy that is professional enough that will deliver on time and with the highest quality and in your budget.
Absolutely. There's a lot of different factors that come into it. You are going to have a long relationship, and it takes time now to get things approved at the city or the county or whatever municipality you're having to deal with. So that process is taking longer. Staff is not exploding at, you know, the counter. They're using a lot more virtual stuff. You know, you drop your plans off and you don't get to sit at the counter, at least down in the city of San Diego, I'm understanding. You're dropping your plans off and, you know, you get to come back a few weeks later and find out what was wrong. You don't just sit down at the counter with the guy anymore and go through it. It takes a long time depending on the depth of the project. So it takes time.
It does take time. That's why we always advise our clients if they want an ADU to start now, because it does take up to a year to get you a permit, and then you have to find a contractor and build it. So if you're deciding to have an ADU in 2 years, please hire us to design it.
Absolutely.
That can get you on time.
The earlier you start, the earlier you're going to get done. I mean, and what if you have to get involved with the Coastal Commission?
Oh,
There's
yeah,
even more time.
takes more time. Yeah. And if it's in a wetland, that's also another process and a longer process. You obviously write a contract between you and the homeowner. What are the important things to check in a contract when you are dealing with a contractor?
Well, one of the first things I'd look at is solid pricing, meaning if the cabinets that you've picked out, he should be able to give a solid pricing on that. Sometimes if you do have a year process and the process or the original plans call for cabinets, the cabinets that you wanted at the beginning of the process might not even be available a year later when the plans are approved. So you should have that discussion beforehand about adjustments on anything like that. How are we going to handle if this is going to be a 9 to 12 month process for getting started? How do we make adjustments in the pricing? When are the final prices coming in?
Yeah.
So
And I see a lot of contractors like doing giving an estimate and then removing some of the scope of work just to decrease the estimate and seem like they are good. So always compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges. Check that every line item is included in the contract.
absolutely. So, I mean, if this is your first and only ADU or room addition or something like that as a homeowner, there's a lot of things you do not know. So understanding the language that the contractor uses compared to the other contractors use language. There might be a variance between the two. You need to understand that before you pick somebody so that you, like you said, Noah, you need to be able to compare apples to apples in your bidding process.
Mhm. And also like the different types of contracts, like somebody would give you a lump sum versus someone would give you only labor cost and you pay for all the expenses for um, like the wood and everything, the finishing and everything. So just go over this a little bit.
So a lot of the
Don't freeze, don't freeze.
sorry, a lot, it's not my experience, but in the interior design industry,
Mm-hmm.
they'll come in and help you design your work and then count on the contractor to fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
So if the contractor can't accurately fill in the blanks on what those are and just gives a lump sum, then I think you're not dealing with the right contractor,
Mm-hmm.
even though it might be highly recommended from the interior designer, or the interior designer didn't explain the process completely enough to you that you were able to understand the contractor's process. So everything needs to flow in your presentations, in your costing, and the documentation, so that when you're ready to sign, commit your financial budget before you put down deposits. You understand the whole cost. Lump sums, I believe, are way too vague. You can look at the bottom line that each contractor gives you, and they all might seem similar, but the way that the contracts are written, the way the allowances are written in there, can allow for some huge disappointments in the process or at the end of the project.
Mm-hmm.
So the education process, especially for first time um, homeowners that are going through this type of thing, improvements, is huge. You need to take the time to really understand the process.
Yeah. Also, can you speak about like, is it important for us to add like the time limit that the contractor is saying, and how are we going to deal with it if he pushes the deadline by a month or by a year? Um, do you think it's important to add that to the contract?
100% do. So we talked about earlier about if you want this project done for a particular event or something happening on a particular date, what are the consequences of not meeting that deadline? So as an example, you spent all of 2023 going through the design process, the permit process. January, you're ready to sign, you talk to all your contractors, you're picking one out, and you're ready to start the process. But come September 1st, you've got somebody moving in, daughter's getting married, whatever the event is, what are the consequences of not meeting that deadline? Is there enough buffer built in by the contractor to meet that deadline? Because things happen.
Yeah, things do happen, and delays does
So
happen, and you might want to have like a grace period, but not too much of a grace period, and be firm with like, if it's delayed for more than 30 days, then every day there will be a penalty.
that's very common in the construction industry.
Hmm.
It makes things work, and it helps ensure that things work well.
Yes. What's the difference between a licensed contractor and a builder?
Well, a licensed contractor is obviously licensed here in California, license board.
Hmm.
Um, a builder can be somebody that actually is unlicensed. They buy the lot. They have experience building. They bought the plans or created the plans, and they actually hire as an owner builder. You should not, as a homeowner, in my opinion, be hiring a builder that is not licensed, not insured, not bonded, not doesn't have experience dealing with clients. A builder can do great projects and sell the house, but as a homeowner, I would not be recommending you be working with a builder that is not licensed.
So, just to clarify it, um, a licensed contractor will have insurance, bonds, and a repetition to protect. A builder does not have that, right?
In my experience, and clarify, I've never worked with a builder, but I have met builders that sometimes they're called spec builders because they speculate on, if I buy this lot, I can build this house and sell it for X amount of dollars and make, this profit. So they might be very good at what they do in the building process. That doesn't mean that working with them is going to give you the same experience, a warranty, same protection. What happens if a worker gets hurt on the job? Does the builder have workman's comp insurance?
Hmm.
So a licensed contractor might not have physical employees that are out there digging a trench, framing the house, doing the drywall. They're using subcontractors, but they certainly should have a system for updating all the insurance requirements that their subcontractors must have.
Can you explain what's the difference between insurance and bonds?
So there's two basic types of bonds. Start there. So as a licensed contractor, you have to have a bond that right now, currently it's $25,000, I believe, that the contractor's license board requires you to have.
Hmm.
So from everything I've heard, the only time that bond ever really gets used is when the contractor is going bankrupt and there's $25,000 worth of a bond to help protect the last consumer that's filing a complaint. That's not going to help you out much if you've got a $150,000 ADU project going on.
But insurance does help us, or
So the contractor should also have different types of insurances. One of the insurances will protect you as the homeowner from the liability of something, say the roof leaks and destroys all the drywall, and you have a mold problem and the floor bubbles up, and a bunch of stuff can happen in that arena. And it's not a fun process. I've been involved in that. There's mold testing and things like that have to go on pre and post renovation. So a contractor should have liability insurance that covers different things like that that insurance protects you as the homeowner, as the client. You can also require a bond that protects that particular project. So if it's a $150,000 project, as an example, the contractor could purchase a bond for that project. It'll cost them some money, and that can be tacked on to the cost of the job, but it protects you as the homeowner from not so much mistakes being happened, but things that are out of everybody's control. Contractor got into financial difficulty and had to close his doors in the middle of the job. There's a bond that'll protect the project. That's created funds that another contractor can step in and complete the project for you.
Perfect.
And most homeowners won't go to that extent.
Mm-hmm. But it's advisable, like they should get a bond, because like in my experience, when I was building my attached ADU, we've changed 3 contractors.
Wow.
And every time we'll hire someone and then they find another job that is bigger than us, so they will leave us.
That's going down to talking about the timeline ahead of time before you sign on the contract. You know, and a good contractor like that should, if you're dealing with a small contractor that's bringing in his own crews to do all the framing and stuff, that's one thing, but the contractor shouldn't have his own crews for the same guys are doing all the plumbing and the electrical work and the tile work and the flooring work and the painting work. I mean, it's one thing to have a crew that does a lot of general stuff on a smaller, like a bathroom remodel. You can train a lot of guys to do the different aspects on a bathroom. But if you're framing a house, the codes that are required for the framing to pass inspection are a lot different than adjusting some studs in the wall so that you close up the window or make the window bigger in the bathroom. Extreme examples there, but that's the reality of working with a contractor. When you're interviewing contractors, they should be able to show you lots of pictures and examples of work that they've done in the past that are similar, hopefully, to what you're expecting them to do for you, and supply references that you can call and talk to the homeowner that used them in the past.
Yes.
That takes time and energy and effort. A lot of people won't go through that. They'll go straight to the bottom line. Oh, this guy's, $5,000 cheaper. I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, money is not everything in construction.
It is not. Sometimes you get what you pay for.
Yes. What is your advice for homeowners who want to start a project?
Well, we've talked a lot of the different things that you need to go through to pick out a contractor, the timelines and things that you look for. If you're even before that and you don't know what you want, you just know you want say an ADU, or you want a room addition that you want to, or convert the garage to another living area. Those are some realistic examples of things that you want to do, but you don't know how to do them. You don't know if you can do them. I would go back to, a design firm should be able to help you with a lot of those projects or examples.
Like us. Go to us.
Exactly. So a design firm will be able to do that for you, help you document your dream, let's call it. We want to get your vision down on paper. What are the possibilities? And you're going to have the experience that can take. Let's just take a simple garage conversion. You got a 2-car garage. You got plenty of parking before you get to the garage. You're not a big driver anyways. And you want to convert your garage to a living area so that you can get some rental income. You, as a designer, can go in and say, you've got enough square footage, Your bathroom's on the other side of this wall, so we can tap into that. We're gonna have to pull the water. We're gonna have to move the electricity box out of the garage into the exterior. So there's different examples of things like that you're gonna be able to help them with on the design part.
Yes. Um, Building on that, like in our NPB Design Studio, we also offer like a video walkthrough and render images so that you know what you're getting before you get it. And if you want to edit it, we can edit it on the computer, because change orders during construction is really expensive
It
and time
is.
consuming and leads to a lot of delays. Can you speak more about like the change orders and how to avoid them?
Well, I would go back to the beginning, what we were just talking about in your design, your vision. The clearer that can be coming out of your thought process and put into, you say you can do a virtual video walkthrough of the project when you're done. Oh my God, that is so awesome that somebody can see that rendering and what it's going to look like. I think we talked earlier, Nora, about you can even do some of the landscaping aspects to it also.
Yeah.
So that you want to go out the back door of the garage conversion, and you've set up a separate patio or outdoor living space for the client, or a joint outdoor living space that that everybody's going to be able to enjoy. Understanding the sun and how the plants can lower the energy cost by protecting the building. I mean, those are a lot of things that are way out of my skill set,
But into my skill set.
but it's your skill set. So going through that process, the clearer the vision, the less likelihood is that you should have change orders in the process. But change orders also should be identified in the estimating process and in the contractor of how they're handled. So in my experience, I had, as a quick example, I was going to redo the tub surround, a very basic, the tub was fine, but the wall was, what do you call it? The panels that you glued in. Well, it was all coming apart and I wanted tile. And picked out the tile, the contractor got everything demoed for me. I was getting ready to put it all up. And I found something I thought was going to be way easier and way cheaper. I wanted a discount. I thought, I'm saving some money. I'm saving the contractor time. Well, from the contractor's perspective, he now needs to change his contract, research to make sure that I'm putting in something that's viable, change the vendor that he was going to use to do the tile work to a guy that can do a different surround panels. So it cost him money just to prepare for the change. So for a contractor's perspective, change orders aren't always a money maker for them. They are delay, they're an expense, they're taken away from doing their primary job. So those things need to be addressed up front when you're in the bidding process and in the contract with a contractor. And on the reverse side of that, you pick out something that you thought man, this is simple. I just want to change the X tile for that tile. But you don't realize that the amount of labor that's going to go into this new tile is going to be 3 times as much.
Yeah. And also, if the contractor has another job after you delayed his second job and you delayed his profit too from the second job. So you have to think about both sides, yani. Just because you're thinking it's simpler and it's cheaper, it doesn't mean that it's simpler and cheaper.
100%. And you also think about it too, from the perspective of the contractor. Do you want to hire a contractor that's barely making money?
No.
That shows you that the contractor is willing to work for less money. Maybe not in that itself is a bad thing, but he's also going to have to work harder to do more projects to be able to make a living, keep his guys employed, to pay the overheads. Something's going to be sacrificed in this whole process if you're dealing with the lowest bidder.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean you need to pick the highest bidder. You could be financing, multiple kids' college and that third vacation home, which isn't a bad thing for a contractor. It means they can be very successful and get to that point by building systems and great relationships. So you need to find the contractor that is going to deliver everything that you expect for a price that's reasonable.
Yes. I always say that not all the personalities of contractor will match. The best contractor might not match with all the clients. It's a personality difference. Like you need to find a contractor that will handle you in a way that is honest, and practical and straightforward.
100%. I mean, here's an example. You're meeting the contractor for the first time. He's answered the door. He's there on time. He walks in. Great house. He's only seen the entryway.
Mm-hmm.
So that little particular thing I always found is something that I would turn me off as a homeowner. And I never did it as a termite inspector. I did a lot of termite inspections for years. So I'd walk into people's houses and introduce myself and then go on with the inspection. And then I'd have to sell whatever I found as something that needed to be addressed in termite inspection.
Mm-hmm.
But if the contractor comes in and just doesn't seem really genuine, and then resorts to liveliness, joking a lot, as opposed to having a outgoing personality but focused on the conversation, there's a big difference there. Those jokes in the long run can be used to cover up important issues, as opposed to somebody that's maybe a little more on the straightforward side. I'm here to do business. I'm here to help you out, and I need facts. I need lots of facts to be able to do my job as effectively as I can to do a good job for you. So those are the things that personalities, you have to get along with them. It's going to be a long process depending on the size of the job. You're going to, you want to like hate, oh, I got to talk to the contractor today. He's going to bug me about that car I've got in the garage. None of his business. He shouldn't care.
Yeah. What do a homeowner do when a contractor disappears on them?
I'm sorry, what?
What does a homeowner do when a contractor disappears on them?
Ooh, that's a tough one, huh? Well, you should have enough information about their business to know where they're at. So it's one thing that a contractor disappears for a few days or a week and you just can't get a hold of them by the phone or email, doesn't respond. Something could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're working out of their house as opposed to a business location, you should know that ahead of time. Can you drive to that person's business location? Speak with other people that work there. Is there a receptionist? Is there an in-house a project manager that you've got their contact information? So a good reputable builder has a series of employees backing them up. If it's a one-person operation and you're doing a bathroom remodel, you're hiring almost a handyman. But if you're doing a $100,000 room addition or more for an ADU or less or whatever, there should be a series of employees working at that company. You can't find any of them you're in trouble.
Yeah. And it comes back to like, go to a trusted contractor. Maybe BBB certified would be a best contractor. Um, and yeah, Jeff Mudd is here.
Absolutely. So, I mean, one of your vetting processes that you can do is check with the Contractor State License Board. Do they have a BBB membership? Are they an accredited member? Do they have Yelp reviews? Do they have house reviews, Angie List reviews, or Home Advisor reviews? You know, are they going to be perfect in all those areas? Maybe not. They're dealing with the public, and the public has a different perspective, and you can't make everybody happy. It seems like sometimes. You know, I've had bad reviews because the guy threw a cigarette out the window driving, and our name was on the side of the truck. I couldn't get rid of that review on Yelp.
Mhm.
But depending on the arena you're dealing in, house is always a great one to go to.
Yeah.
BBB is great.
I know you're involved with like nonprofits. Can you tell us more about your nonprofit work?
Well, I'll back up a little bit as to why I deal with some nonprofits. So
Okay.
a little bit more about Jeff. I've retired out of doing the home improvements, and in my frustration of the last year or so before I retired, though, not being able to find carpenters or employees in the home improvement trades that I was hiring for, instead of getting mad about it, I decided I'm going to try to do something about it. And I reached out to one of the networking groups and found a partner and started a podcast, the Trades Podcast. And I think that's how we met, is at the BBB. I record at the Better Business Bureau here in Kearny Mason, San Diego. And we would mostly interview business owners in the home improvement trades, trying to promote the construction trades to young adults.
Mm-hmm.
So in that process, I've met lots of organizations that are nonprofit. So I particularly like the PHCC over in Poway. They also have the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association of San Diego. There's a parent organization that at the state. So a lot of the local home plumbing and HVAC contractors in San Diego are involved in that, and they put together an academy that trains people to get their journeyman license in plumbing or HVAC.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been to multiple events of theirs, and I really like the leadership that is at that organization. They are doing a lot of good things. On the national level, I've gone to the International Builder Show in Las Vegas the last few years. I've gone a few years ago when it was in Florida, in the Orange County Convention Center over there. And I've met an organization called HBI, Home Builders Institution. And the parent of that is the Home Builders Association. So they have training programs all over the country in different trades, plumbing, electrical, carpentry. The training is not, some of it's for military. So up in San Marcos, military personnel that are transitioning out of the military can take electrical and carpentry class up in San Marcos. And hopefully the goal of that organization is to keep some of those military people here in San Diego working for San Diego companies. But all over the country, they've dealt with challenged young adults and changed their lives for the better.
Wow.
I've seen that many times through that organization. So those are a couple of the nonprofits that I really like. There's a Building Talent Foundation, Joe Ventura's here in San Diego. He's ex-military, and he's got the energy and the passion of somebody that is just driven to make a difference. The man is awesome. He has a open house event coming up with UEI, down in Chula Vista where they have a job fair going on. I've gone to a job fair that he's coordinated with home builders like Shea Homes. Um,
Wow.
so
Well, thank you so much for doing so much good in our community. Like, you're awesome, dude.
well, I as I've retired, I've gotten to the point where I want to give back, and I'm finding my path. When me and Danny started out, we didn't know what equipment we needed. We didn't know how to be good interviewers. We didn't know which guests were good. We're posting our 130th show next week,
Congrats.
so we're really excited about that, and we're slowly picking up some sponsors that we can help out.
Hmm.
Um, with marketing for them and visibility. And with that financial backing, we can also do some more good with some of the young adults out there. It's our goal to be able to give out power tools. A lot of government funding for some of these nonprofits will give them hand tools and bags and things like that, but they won't give them power tools.
Hmm.
So we want to be able to work with the power tool companies and get some power tool packets out there to some of these graduates that have, worked very hard to go through the schooling so they can become gainfully employed.
So yes, if you want to donate to his nonprofits and help us collect power tools for them or buy new power tools for them, um, you are going to do a great impact in our community, and you're going to change the life of not one person but the whole family by empowering them.
You say it that Noura, and I truly believe that if you have a family that has a history of being beat down, no opportunities, and one person in that family can be turned around and made successful, you affect not only the existing family members, but hopefully generations to come. That's a goal of mine.
Yeah. And yeah, what is it, the quote that you give one, you give a man a fish, he can live for a day, but you teach him how to fish, he can live forever?
That's it. It's a very simple analogy, but it is so true, even in today's world.
Mm-hmm. Last but not least, Yani, can you share a little, anything else you want to share with us as the ADU show and to our clientele?
Well, I got to say, I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to speak on your show. As I've grown to know you, you've been a past guest on my show. You've brought in a lot of great information. And as I've grown to know you, Noura, your passion for not just what you do for a living, but for the people in your community and your desire to help other people out is contagious. So I'm very proud to know you and to call you a friend. So I would highly recommend that if you're looking as a homeowner to add an ADU, start with Noura. You bring a lot of passion and integrity into the world, and you have some other events coming up. You have one, September 28th, a
Yeah,
women's
we
event.
have the She Makes History Award, where we select 30 women from over 25 cities that have achieved outstanding achievements and trailblazers in men-dominated fields in community, leadership, and business. So we're so excited about that.
Absolutely. And actually, we haven't talked about it, but I have adjusted my schedule so I can come to that.
My
So
God.
we're going to take some pictures and videos when we're up there for the Trades podcast.
Yes, we'd love that. I'm so honored that you will change your schedule just to attend it. That's like, wow, you made my year, not day.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the event. I've seen a lot of the things you posted about it, so I think it's going to be a great event and quite an honor. So.
Thank thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough. I'm speechless, يعني. To this like recognition, that's like a huge recognition for me. If you don't know it, but to be on Jeff's podcast, it took me, I think, a year to schedule it.
It took a little bit of time.
Yeah, yeah, it's just an honor to be in his presence.
Oh,
So yeah, I really appreciate that you're endorsing us and coming to us. And yes, please come, all the listeners, come to our event. We need your support. Um, Jeff, it was wonderful having you on the ADU show, and thank you so much for coming. Guys, please like, share, and comment because that's what we are here for. Tell us if you have any questions. We can get Jeff again and answer your questions. We're here to help you and support you in your journey where with all the construction drama and everything around us going on. Next episode is going to be with BMO Bank, and they are offering up to 70 to 80% home equity line. So let's speak about that next time. Keep watching our ADU show, and we will see you later. Bye bye.
awesome. Take care now.
Bye bye.